afternoon, this is Kathy at Northstar Prepsteader. Well, it's a beautiful sunny day and I've actually been able to pick some things from my garden. So I've been able to harvest some spinach and lettuce and peppermint, some calendula, some of my mini Greek basil and parsley. The peppermint, the basil, and the parsley I'm going to dehydrate today. So I'm going to show you what I do to prepare. This is my mini Greek basil. I've tried growing the big ones before and it just always goes to bolt before I'm able to do anything with it. These are really cute and they're very fragrant. So I'm just going to dehydrate them in the cluster and then be able to pull the leaves off the stems when they're dry. I may pick some of these to throw a few of the leaves in a salad, which would be very flavorful. So I've got one more calendula flower. I'm just getting one at a time right now, but I'm going to throw that in the dehydrator along with everything else. And I have some very gorgeous lush parsley. This is just a little bit of what is in my garden. And then I've got the peppermint, which I've had just rinsing in this water. I just wanted to rinse some of the dirt and the dust off of there. I cut the full stems with some of the bigger leaves. I'm just going to dry them fully stemmed and pull the leaves off of them. So the basil, just going to lay on my dehydrating trays. Because these are a little higher, I probably will have to leave out a single tray in order for these to dry well. Because these parsley stems take up so much room, I'm actually going to cut those off. I've had these rinsing and drying a little bit, so I'm just going to keep the clusters in here so I don't have to try to dry these stems too. Now, since some of this parsley is about the same height as some of the basil, I'm going to keep these on the same tray, then they don't take up as much room. I know a lot of people say don't rinse your vegetables or especially your herbs before you dehydrate them because it takes longer, but you know, it might take an extra half hour or something, but I would rather have them clean and know that my food is not full of dirt and bugs. Y'all, this smells so good. Between the parsley and the basil, it smells wonderful. When I go to have a salad, I think I'll go out and pick some fresh parsley. All right, there's one tray here. Because you can see if I put it in the space here, there's not going to be enough room. So I'm going to leave an empty spot there. In fact, this little guy is still really tall. I cut some of the basil down so it would fit in there. And there's my tray. I've got my sink load of peppermint here. Now there's some leaves on here that I don't want to dehydrate, so as I go through I'm going to pick them off. Like here's a few icky ones on here. Okay, I've got 3 layers. I've got one layer of peppermint that the leaves are still attached to the stems. I've got another layer of peppermint that's just the leaves because I didn't have enough room for everything. And then one layer of parsley and basil and a calendula flower. Looks like it kind of flew around a little bit. So I'll show you when I get these all finished drying. This is an Excalibur and it tells me to do it on low, so it's just at 105 degrees. It tells you exactly what levels to put it at for whatever you're dehydrating. I have more parsley here and basil, and today I have oregano. They're getting a little wilty, so I need to get them in the dehydrator. But I'm going to dry all of these. One picking of my strawberries. These are berries from my bed that's only 3 feet by 6 feet. And this was just one picking. I get this many every few days. This is a garden scissors, a vegetable scissors, and it's by Black & Decker. I got it on Amazon and it works really nicely. It's very sharp. I usually had cut all the vegetables for harvest with just a knife. This works really nice. It's a little more controllable because you're cutting from both sides. You're not just yanking from one end of it. So good bit of oregano here that I harvested and washed. Some of these leaves are nice and big, some are just so little. If I had time, I would sit here and take off each leaf and just nicely lay them on the tray and everything else. But right now, I'm really short on time. So for today, I'm just going to take them whole and lay them on the trays, and then when they dry, I'll just strip the leaves off. See what these are doing. This is the oregano that I kept on the stems, and it's very crispy. You want it to just be able to crumble in your hands. And some basil, it's all done and crispy. And my calendula flowers are very dry. Now you don't have to dry the centers because you discard those anyway. It's just the petals that you want to have really dry. What I want to do is leave these out for a little bit so that they can cool down before I put them in the jars. Because right now they're still a little bit warm, because they were drying at 105, 110 degrees. So what I want to do is make sure that they cool down at least to room temperature before I put them in the jars. If you put them in the jars while they're still warm, it can create some condensation in there with whatever little bit of humidity is in the jars. So we'll let them cool for about 10 minutes or so. Okay, I've got a full tray of dried parsley. Now, parsley dries really quickly. This was from my previous batch. I just may need to upgrade to a quart jar, but we'll see. The easiest way to make the least mess at this point is to just transfer this to a paper towel. This nice pile of parsley here, and then just gonna crunch it up. And you can crush it however small you want it to be according to what your cooking is. I'm doing kind of a mix of some bigger leaves and then just some really crushed things. Make sure your hands are clean and dry when you do this. You don't want to add any moisture or oils to your dried leaves. And if I need these smaller when I'm cooking, I can crush more at that time. Oops. So I'm just going to add these to the jar. I have a full pint of dried parsley. I just labeled it parsley 2019. And then I've got a jar of parsley all ready to go for my shelves. Okay, these are the calendula flowers, and I'm just going to pull the petals out of here. If you have any moisture left in them and storing them in a jar, they're going to mold and ruin your entire batch. Okay, so I've just peeled them out on top of this Kleenex here, so it's easy to get it in the jar. I do have a moisture absorber in here. It's probably a little big for this jar, but it's okay. And then I can easily get all of them in there. So I'm starting to get some collection here. I have a lot more plants in the garden, and hopefully they will flower all summer long and I'll be able to fill this up. Now if you were using full-size basil, this would be a whole lot more that you would be preserving, but mine are just a mini one this year. Okay, and we have our oregano. Okay, I separated the leaves from the stems. So these stems I'll just compost. These I'm just going to crush up a little bit. That's oregano. You can use them in teas if you want to, I suppose, but I'm going to use it in cooking. And almost all of this is actually going to go into my tomato sauce that I make from the garden. you have so many luscious things growing in your garden, whatever you don't eat fresh, you want to be able to preserve them as much as you can so that they last the whole year and you can enjoy them. So the tomatoes I'm going to can, strawberries I'm eating fresh and I'm going to freeze some. The beans I can. I've got to show you the beans here. Look at this bed of beans. And my peppers are starting to come. So those I'm going to eat fresh and then probably give some away. But dehydrating is just a fabulous way to be able to preserve what you've grown. I've really wanted to do a lot of herbs, and so that's where my focus is this year. And so anyway, you guys, I hope that you're able to dehydrate some of your produce, some of the things that come from your garden. There are a lot of other channels that are showing different ways and different things that they can dehydrate. If you could, leave in the comments below what you would like to dehydrate or what you are dehydrating from your garden. Take care, God bless, always have hope. Bye-bye.